Hello, Year 4 at South Tawton Primary School in Devon, and your teacher, Mrs. Childcraft. Hello, my name is Alistair Humphreys. I am an author and an adventurer, and I wrote the book The Boy Who Bite the World, which you have been reading in class, and you've sent me some fantastic questions. Thank you for sending me the questions. I haven't looked at them deliberately, so it'll be a surprise for me. So I'm going to launch straight in and answer your questions after first having a drink of coffee from my very dirty mug. It's a good thing about being an adventurer. You don't have to wash your cup. Right, question 1. Scarlett says, what was the worst food you've tried and why? Where were you? Well, often things to do with worst food comes down to what we think of as being normal or nice food. In other countries, people think of as being weird or disgusting. So things that I found weird, other people don't find weird. But having said that, probably the weirdest thing would be eating dog in China. Have you ever eaten dog? If you have a pet dog, I've eaten dog. It's quite hard to explain to people what dog tastes like, and I know there's lots of dog lovers in the world, so if you're a dog lover, I'm sorry. The best way, though, that I can explain what dog tastes like is to say it tastes pretty similar to cat. Arwen says, how did you feel when you'd cycle the whole length of Africa? I felt tired. I felt proud, I felt happy, I felt surprised that I'd actually made it all that way. I definitely felt ready for a rest. I felt amazed that just a little bicycle, not an expensive machine, can get you right from your front door to the end of another continent, which gives you the amazing realisation that if you go out of your front door tomorrow morning and look down the street you live on, that is the road to Africa. And possibly one day you might get on a bike outside the front door of your childhood home, as I did, and pedal off down that road, turn right at the end, left at the roundabout, and keep going until eventually you make it to the end of Africa. How cool is that? All on something as simple as a bicycle. Kia says, why did you want to cycle the world? I wanted adventure. I wanted to go to new places. I wanted to see how people lived in different countries and cultures. I wanted to do something exciting and difficult. And I wanted to be a writer, so I needed to have something interesting to write about. And also I loved reading books of adventure. See, on my shelves here I've got loads of adventure books. I loved reading adventure stories, and that got me dreaming of having adventures of my own. Lily, what was your favourite country and why? Lily, that is an impossible question. I've been to about 90 countries, and it's really hard to choose. I get asked this question a lot, and I pretty much always give a different answer. So today's answer, seeing as it's just about lunchtime and I'm really hungry, my favourite country is India, because you could spend your whole life travelling around India and never get bored. There's so much variety, so many different places and cultures and religions and landscapes, magical, and lots of delicious food. So I'll choose India. Sylvie, which site was your favourite and why? The Great Wall of China is pretty cool because it's very long, so I could follow it for weeks and weeks and weeks on a bicycle, whereas some other place that's cool, like the pyramids or the Eiffel Tower or the Leaning Tower of Pisa or Petra or Lalibela or Leeds United's football stadium, these amazing places, you just see them and then you're gone, whereas the Great Wall you follow for weeks and weeks and weeks. Also, one night in the full moon I camped on top of the Great Wall, which was pretty awesome. And that seems I've just answered Miss Chalcraft's question about what was my most memorable camp spot. George, what was the hardest language to learn and why? For me, the hardest was Chinese, and the reason it was so hard was because of the writing of it. So if I'm learning, say, French or Spanish, I can at least read the words that I see on a page, even if I don't know what they mean yet. But with Chinese, I had to try and learn the symbols, and that was really hard. And also because I was cycling through rural China in the countryside, no one could speak English. And weirdly, to learn another language, you kind of need someone who can speak English as well to help you bridge the gap between the two. So I found Chinese a nightmare. Henry wants to know, did you make lots of friends on your trip, and are you still in touch? Yeah, I made loads of friends. That was one of the best bits about travelling around the world, was making loads of friends in different places. I generally was in touch with people for a little while afterwards. Maybe I'd send them a postcard or a letter or an email, but gradually over time I tended to lose contact with most of them. But they were good, short, nice friendships that you get when you're travelling. It's a very different kind of experience to, say, making friends with your neighbour who you'll see every day for the rest of your life. You make friends with someone on the road. It's a really short time, but quite a strong and special friendship. Alistair, great name, says, what was the ultimate food you tasted that you can't have now or recreate at home? Well, I can't really recreate a barbecued dog at home. Yeah, that wouldn't be too popular. But I probably would choose some of the street food. You know, in town sometimes you see a stall on the street selling food. Lots of countries have that. Loads and loads and loads, much more than we do in England. And what I really loved was cycling along, and you'd find some little stall, it smelled delicious, and you'd go over and lost some really, really sizzling food, and to eat it fresh by the side of the road, in the atmosphere of the country you're in, served by a guy or a lady from that country. I really love that magical thing in a way that... So food is more than just the taste of what you put in your mouth. It's the whole travel adventure experience too. Millie, what was your lowest moment and who helped you through it? That's a really nice question. My lowest point was probably in Syria, which was about 4 months into my journey. So I'd cycled from home for about 4 months, which is a long time on a bike. Sorry, I'm about to yawn. Sorry, I'm boring myself. I dread to think how boring I am for you. Sorry. Got to Syria, 4 months of cycling. That's a long time on a bike. I was really tired. I'd come a long way. But if you look at a map of the world, England to Syria is like this, and the whole world is like this. And I had so far to go, and I just thought, I cannot possibly do this. So I phoned my mum, and she helped cheer me up on the phone. Anna, where did you celebrate your birthdays? I had a birthday in Lebanon. I had a birthday in South Africa. I had a birthday in Colombia. And I had a birthday in Japan. Which traditions did you like and why? Wow, Japan's a great place at New Year. Everyone goes out to the temples and rings the temple bells. That was pretty cool. But I also just like the small... So sorry, Anna, I can't think off the top of my head of a huge tradition that I liked, but I really just like the... Traditions is just something you do repeatedly. So we go to the supermarket and we buy food, we come home, we cook it. But in other countries, the markets are different, or the shops are different, and the ingredients are all different. And I just love doing normal little things like going to the shops or going to a cafe and ordering a cup of tea. How small things like that are different in lots of countries. And that's why I find travelling fascinating, because every single boring bit of our normal life suddenly becomes interesting in a different country. You're in Slovakia, when you press the button to cross the road, they have quite a different sound for the road crossing man, and lots of countries have different designs of the green road crossing man as well. So every small little thing is different in different countries. Kayla or Kyla, sorry if I have got your name wrong at least one of those times, hopefully not both, sorry. Your question is, did you fall off or damage your bike? I fell off my bike not very many times really. One of the worst crashes I had was after going all the way around the world for 4 years. I was about 10 miles from my house in Yorkshire, and I slipped on a roundabout and I fell off on a roundabout. The car had to stop so I could pick myself up again. So that was one of the worst crashes I had, and that was really, really close to home. Sam says, would you cycle around the world would you cycle again around the world with your family? I think cycling around the world once is enough. It's a long way, it took a long time, and I'm very glad I did it, but I think once was enough. It would be cool to do a journey with a friend or with a family, you'd get a really different idea, a different style of journey. So that would be really nice, but I don't think it would be something as big as going around the world. Scarlett, did you eat too many banana sandwiches? And can you bear the sight of them now? Scarlett, it's impossible to eat too many banana sandwiches. Tom loved them. When I cycle around the world, I did eat a lot of banana sandwiches, but I have to admit I didn't eat as many as Tom did. I still do have them occasionally these days. What I prefer these days is make some toast, mush the banana on top of the toast, and then add either almond butter or peanut butter or a drizzle of honey. That's really nice. Sid says, how did you get the money while you were away? Well, I worked before the trip. I worked for about 5 years at different jobs and saved up the money. And then when I was away, I was just gradually spending my money. So I had less and less and less. So I didn't work when I was actually on the trip. Because the trip was already going to be 4 years, I didn't want to make it even longer by stopping for a year to work somewhere. Sam, how do you cycle on sand? Oh, you can't really. You just go as fast as you can until you grind to a halt. And then you have to walk and push and drag the bike. It's exhausting. Really hard. Arwen, did any animals join you in your tent? One night in my tent, I put myself in my tent. I went out, cooked my tea. When I came back in my tent, there was quite a big spider sitting on the floor of my tent. And normally I don't really mind spiders. I would just, in England, a spider, I'd just grab it with my hand and put it outside the tent. If it was maybe a bit bigger and scary looking, I might get a pan and put it on top and then remove it. But this spider suddenly started going boing, boing, bouncing around my tent. It was big, it was hairy, it was bouncing around my tent, and I freaked out. And I have to confess, I got my flip flop and I whacked it. So I do apologise for that. Caitlin, did you ever feel like giving up, and how did you stay resilient? I felt like giving up a lot, Caitlin. I felt like giving up in Syria, the time that I mentioned after just 4 months. But there were many times for at least the first 2 years of the journey that I wanted to give up, because what I was doing was hard and I was lonely at times, and it was a long way until I was going to finish and succeed at the trip. So I often wanted to give up. What I had to keep reminding myself, though, was that yes, it would be really nice to give up, go home, lie on the sofa and eat ice cream all day. But eventually I would get a bit bored of that, and then I'd probably regret having given up this big adventure. So I had to keep persuading myself to try and just do a little bit more. Say, yeah, you're having a bad day today, it's hard, but put up your tent, cook a big meal, get a really good sleep, tomorrow you'll feel better. And that usually helped. But when I was still struggling, I'd say, okay, get to the next country and then it'll be a fresh start again. So just do another week or another 2 weeks. And I tried to then break everything down into small chunks, and that helped me just keep going little by little by little. William, where do you want to go back to and why? Well, right now we've just had storms and wind and rain here in England, so I right now would like to go back to somewhere really warm and sunny. Let me look at my map. I've got a map on my roof. Where would I like to go back to right now? Well, the beach in South Africa would be nice. Where would I like to go back to? But I'd also quite like some snow, so maybe I'd like to go back to Alaska for some serious winter snow. That would be cool. You know, there's lots of places I'd like to go back to, but there are so many new places I haven't been to yet, and they're what really excite me the most. So I'm more interested in looking forwards to new places and new adventures. And I hope that having read my book, you might too also now be dreaming of some adventures, having some ideas and planning adventures of your own. I really hope so. So thank you so much for reading my book. Thank you for sending me these brilliant questions, and good luck with your own adventures. Bye.